Hello, everyone, and thank you so much for watching. My name is Marina Ortega, and I'm a European project manager at Sploro. Over the next minutes, we are going to walk through the EU funding landscape for cybersecurity and deep tech startups. If you've ever felt overwhelmed by all the acronyms, the Horizon Europe, AIC, Digital Europe, Cascade Funding, don't worry, because that's exactly what we are here to untangle today. By the end of this session, you should have a clear picture of which program fits your project, and we'll even point you to some calls that are open right now, so you can act on this immediately. Okay, so let's start by mapping out where we're headed today. We're going to focus on four major funding programs. First, Horizon Europe, which is the EU's flagship research and innovation program, and probably the one that most of you have already heard of. Second, the European Innovation Council, the EIC, which is specifically designed for high risk, high impact, deep tech innovation. This is where a lot of startups find their best fit. Third, Digital Europe, which is a bit different because it's not about research. It's about deploying and scaling technology that's already mature. And fourth, Cascade Funding, which I personally think is one of the best kept secrets in the EU funding world. So it's a smaller grants, much faster, and much lighter administratively talking. For each of these four, we'll explain what it funds, how the process works, and what kind of organizations are designed for. And then to make this really practical, we'll close the session with a set of live currently open calls that you can start preparing an application by today. So let's dive into the first one, Horizon Europe. Okay, so Horizon Europe, as you may know, it's a huge program. So to make sense of it, it's organized into three pillars, and it's worth understanding all three, even if only one is relevant to you, because you'll hear these terms constantly in the funding world. The first pillar is excellent science. This is about frontier, curiosity-driven research, and it's channeled mainly through two instruments: the European Research Council and the Marie Curie Actions, which support researcher mobility and training. This pillar is mostly relevant to universities and research organizations. So if you are a startup, this probably isn't your entry point, but it's good to know that it exists. The second pillar is global challenges, and this is where things get more interesting for companies. It's organized into thematic clusters, and cluster 3 specifically covers civil security, which includes cybersecurity. So this is a key pillar for anyone in this sector. Where it funds, so it funds collaborative research and innovation, but the key word there in this pillar is collaborative. So this means that you need a consortium of at least 3 organizations from different countries. And the funding here comes through 3 types of actions, which we'll break down on the next slides. The third pillar is Innovative Europe, and this is home to the European Innovation Council, the EIC, which will dedicate a whole section shortly. Within the EIC, there are 3 instruments: the Pathfinder for early stage research on breakthrough technologies, Transition, which helps you move from lab results to a proof of concept, and Accelerator, which is the big one, that it's a scale-up grant combined with equity investment for companies ready to bring breakthrough innovation to market. So before we move on, I want to zoom in for a moment, because the 3 pillars I just described each contain several different instruments, and it's worth knowing what's actually inside each one. So inside Pillar 1, Excellent Science, you've got the European Research Council, which funds frontier research grants for individual principal investigators. Alongside that, sit the Marie Curie Actions, which fund fellowships and doctoral networks for research mobility and training. And there are also research infrastructures, which fund access to shared pan-European research facilities. Again, mostly relevant to universities and research organizations, not startups that much. Inside Pillar 2, global challenges and industrial competitiveness. The work is organized into 6 clusters: health, culture, creativity, and inclusive society, cybersecurity, which is the one that includes cybersecurity, digital, industry and space, climate, energy and mobility, and food, bioeconomy, and natural resources. On top of the clusters, this pillar also funds the EU missions. So these are 5 mission-driven programs tackling specific societal challenges such as cancer, climate adaptation, healthy oceans, climate neutral cities, and soil yield. All of this is funded through the research and innovation actions, and coordination and support actions that we are about to break down. And inside the Pillar 3, Innovative Europe, you've already met the EIC, Pathfinder Transition and Accelerator, which we'll come back to in detail shortly. But this Pillar 3 also includes the European Institute of Innovation and Technology, or EIT, which runs knowledge and innovation communities linking business, research, and education, and the European innovation ecosystems, which connect national and regional innovation actors across the continent. So now let's clarify these types of action I just mentioned, because you'll see these 3-letter acronyms in every single context. And knowing the difference will save you a lot of time when you are screening the calls. So RAI stands for Research and Innovation Action. This funds collaborative research aimed at building new knowledge or exploring the feasibility of a new technology or approach. It's still a relatively early stage, so you're not expected to have a market-ready product. The funding rate is 100% of your eligible costs are covered. The IA, or Innovation Action, is a step closer to the market. It includes prototyping, testing, demonstrating, piloting, or scaling up a product, process, or service that already has some technical maturity. So because you're closer to commercial exploitation, the funding rate drops to 70%. Although here in this action, nonprofit organizations still get 100% of funding rate. And then there's the CSA, the Coordination and Support Action. This one doesn't fund research and innovation directly, and it's designed for standardization work, dissemination, networking, and policy dialogue. It won't fund your research and development proposal, but it's incredibly useful if you're trying to build relationships and get visibility within a consortium ecosystem before applying to a research and innovation or an innovation action. The funding rate here in the CSA is also 100%. So now let's get concrete and look at some Horizon Europe calls that are open right now. This first is titled Approaches and Tools for Security in Software and Hardware Development and Assessment. As you can probably guess from the name, This call is looking for projects that develop new methodologies and tools that secure the software and hardware development lifecycle. It's structured as a research and innovation action. So remember that this means 100% funding rate. The deadline is 15 September 2026. So there's a reasonable way to prepare, a reasonable runway to prepare a strong consortium and proposal. The total budget for this call is 20 million euros, and they expect each individual project to receive somewhere between the 3 and 4 million euros. Based on that budget, they're expected to fund approximately 4 to 5 projects. So it's a competitive call, but there's room for multiple consortia to succeed on the topic. The second call is this one, and is particularly called Secure AI, enhancing security, privacy, and robustness of AI models and systems. So if your organization is working anywhere near AI security, adversarial robustness, or privacy preserving machine learning, this is one to look at closely. So this is an innovation action rather than a research and innovation, which tells you that the Commission expects proposal to be a bit closer to demonstration and real-world validation, not just early research. Same deadline as the previous one, and the total budget is slightly higher at 21.2 million euros, with the same funding envelope per project, that it's between 3 and 4 million euros. And again, around 4 to 5 projects expected to be funded. The third call under Horizon Europe is on advanced cryptographic schemes and high assurance, high speed cryptographic implementations. This one is very relevant for anyone working on the next generation cryptography, including post-quantum approaches or on high-performance secure implementations. It's a research and innovation action, so 100% funding rate, and the deadline is again the same as the previous ones. So you'll notice that all these 3 ECCC calls close on the same date, which means that if you are eligible for more than one, you'll need to plan your resources carefully across parallel proposals. The total budget is 15 million euros, a bit smaller than the previous 2, with 2 to 3 million euros expected per project and 3 to 4 expected to be funded overall. Okay, so let's move now to the European Innovation Council. So here we need to be really clear about something, because it's a common misconception. The EIC isn't a single topic or a single call. It's a whole program with 3 complementary instruments that follow you along the technology readiness scale. So from early research all the way to market scale up. At the early end, there's Pathfinder for technology readiness levels 2, 1 to 4, funding visionary, high-risk research toward breakthrough technologies before you even reach the proof of concept. So grants go up to 4 million euros at a 100 funding rate, and you can apply either through the open topic called Pathfinder Open, or through easy defined themes called Pathfinder Challenges. In the middle, there's a transition covering the jump from TRL 4 or 3 or 4 to TRL 5 or 6. And this is where you validate and mature results coming out of Pathfinder, out of an ERC proof of concept, or out of a Horizon Europe Pillar 2 project, moving toward a real business case. Grants here go up to 2.5 million euros, and it's open to single entities or a small consortia of 2 to 5 partners. And the top end, there's the accelerator for TRL 6 to 9. And it's the instrument for SMEs and startups that are ready to develop and scale up a game-changing innovation. This is where blended finance comes in. So you can receive a grant up to 2.5 million euros, combined with equity up to 10 million euros. And here's the important part. All three instruments in the EIC unlock the access to EIC business acceleration services that are coaching, mentoring, and investor matchmaking. So this one is really one continuous program and not three unrelated grants. So let's slow down for a moment on Pathfinder and transition specifically. And starting with Pathfinder, it funds advanced research to build a scientific basis for radically new, high-risk, high-gain technologies. There are also booster grants up to 50,000 euros to support complementary commercialization testing activities. On eligibility, Pathfinder Open requires a consortium of three or more entities from different countries, while Pathfinder challenges also welcome single applicants or small consortia. Transition, on the other hand, funds the validation and demonstration of technology in an application-relevant environment, plus development of the business and market readiness plan. Again, with booster grants of 50,000 euros available for complementary or portfolio activities. And as I said previously, this one is open to single entities or a small consortia of two to five partners, but only if you are building on results from EIC Pathfinder and ERC proof of concept, a Horizon Europe Pillar 2 project, or a research infrastructures project. So it's not a standalone entry point, it's a follow-on instrument. So now let's close out the EIC section with the flagship instrument, the one sitting at TRL 6 to 9, the accelerator. So if you are a deep tech startup, this is probably the single most important funding line to have on your radar. The EIC accelerator funds high-risk, high-impact innovation, and it supports blended finance, grant-only or equity-only arrangements. So you have a non-repayable grant of up to 2.5 million euros combined with equity investment of up to 10 million euros. So this instrument alone can bring substantial support to a single company. On the process side, the submission is continuously open with 6 cutoff dates a year for full proposals. So there's no single fixed deadline pressuring you to apply at one specific moment. Regarding eligibility, it's designed for SMEs and startups, including small mid-caps with up to 499 employees, established in an EU member state or a Horizon Europe associated country. The topic here is fully open, so any deep tech sector is welcome. No thematic restriction, like we saw in the Horizon Europe clusters. And one more thing that it's worth flagging. So the 2026 budget for the accelerator alone is 634 million euros, and every single awardee across the 3 programs gets access to the EIC business acceleration services, as I mentioned previously. So now let's shift and talk about Digital Europe. So Digital Europe works quite differently from what we've seen so far. And it's important to understand that difference so you don't waste your time applying to the wrong program. While Horizon Europe funds research, generating new knowledge, Digital Europe funds large-scale deployment and adoption of digital technologies that are already mature. So things like AI, cybersecurity, data infrastructure, and high-performance computing. The whole purpose of the program is to bridge the gap between the results of research and development and actual market-ready digital capacity being used in the real economy. So if your technology is still at the research stage, this is not for you yet, but if you have a mature solution that needs to be deployed at scale, this could be exactly right, your program. In terms of funding format, you typically see digital lump sum grants with a funding rate around 50%, although some topics considered a public good can get a higher rate. So who can apply? Companies, public administrations, and consortia established in the EU or associated members. And here's an important detail to remember for later in this presentation. Many Digital Europe projects also run their own cascade funding calls. So let's look at the live example under Digital Europe. This one is focused on digital solutions for regulatory compliance through data. This call is structured as a digital lump sum grant, and the deadline is 1st October 2026. The total budget available is 8.5 million euros, and the standard 50% funding rate, with each project expected to receive between 4 and 4.5 million euros. Now, here's the catch, the thing to be aware of. Only 2 projects are expected to be funded from this entire budget. So this is a highly competitive call. You'll need a very strong and differentiated proposal if you are considering to apply to this one. Now, let's move to the topic that I'm personally most excited about, cascade funding. So, cascade funding works through a mechanism called financial support to third parties, or FSCP for short. And honestly, if you are a small organization or an early stage startup, this might be the most accessible entry point into EU funding of everything that we've discussed today. And here's how it works. So large EU funded projects that have already received a grant from Horizon Europe or Digital Europe, are given a mandate to distribute part of their own budget through open calls. And third parties like SMEs, startups, and researchers apply directly to these projects, not to the European Commission itself. This type of proposal projects has a huge practical benefits. The grants that themselves are smaller and are typically in a range of 15,000 to 150,000 euros, but they are equity free, and the administrative process is simplified, dramatically simplified compared to a full Horizon Europe or Digital Europe application. And why does this matter to you right now? So there's a growing number of these cascade calls, and because these calls come from individual projects rather than a centralized EU calendars, they move much faster and lighter than direct applications. But that also means that new calls open regularly, and many of them close within just a few weeks of opening. So the tracking of these calls is absolutely essential. So how do you actually find them? So at Sploro, we built cascadefunding.eu, that it's a really complete cascade funding database on the market. You can subscribe for free alerts, and you'll never miss an opportunity of any cascade funding call again. And you can also map them on the funding attendance portal. But we really recommend using cascadefunding.eu. This is a quick look at our Cascade Funding Matter tool, available at cascadefunding.eu. And I generally encourage everyone on this watching this training to visit the site after the session and set up alerts for the topic that are relevant to your organization, because it just takes 2 minutes and it could save you from missing a call with your name written all over it. Okay, so let's now take a look to some live open calls right now. The first one is Eurodos Open Call 2 under the Digital Europe program. Applications close on 7 August with funding up to 460,000 euros at a 50% funding rate. The call supports cybersecurity preparedness services such as cyber range training, risk analysis, threat monitoring, and security testing for organizations operating in NIS2 regulated sectors. This one is open to consortia of 2 to 5 EU-based organizations, including at least one cybersecurity provider and one service recipient. The second is the EFCSN temporary call for protection grants, again under the Digital Europe program. And this is a rolling call until the 1st September 2026, offering up to 20,000 or 40,000 euros in exceptional cases. This one provides emergency support to fact-checking organizations facing threats such as harassment, cyber attacks, or physical risks. Applications are submitted by single organizations, and because funding is allocated on a first-come, first-served basis, applying early to this one is recommended. You can find more information about the calls at their websites. So let's finish these sections with 2 more live opportunities. The third opportunity is the NGI Diversity Open Call with a deadline on the 1st of August 2026. It's funded under Horizon Europe, and it offers up to 60,000 at the 100 funding for projects developing open source and decentralized cloud technologies, including encryption, security by design, and service portability. Unlike many EU calls, individual applicants can apply, including SMEs, researchers, public organizations, and independent developers, and projects can last from 1 to 12 months. Finally, Women Tech EU, under the European Innovation Council, offers 75,000 euros in fully non-dilutive funding, plus a 6-month business development program with mentoring, coaching, and investor matchmaking. This program targets early stage women-led deep tech startups, and applications are accepted through weekly cutoffs until July 2027, giving applicants plenty flexibility to apply. So to be eligible to this one, the company must be funded or co-founded by a woman in a senior management role and must own at least 25% of the business. The full details, again, of both calls are at their websites. So before we close, I want to share some practical advice, the do's and don'ts we've learned from years of supporting proposals. So let's start with the do's. First, we recommend to read the work program and the guidelines before you even start writing, because you'd be surprised on how many proposals miss requirements that are explicitly stated in the documentation. Second, to align every single section of your proposal to the specific call topic, because evaluators can tell immediately when a proposal has been recycled from a different call without real adaptation. Third, take advantage of the support materials that's available, the info days, partner research tools, and your national contact points, because these people exist specifically to help you, and they are underused, and they are an underused resource. Fourth, check Cordis and the Funding and Tenders portal to see what kind of projects have already been funded in your area. This tool tells you a lot about what evaluators are looking for and helps you avoid proposing something too similar to an existing project. And fifth, make sure your objectives are aligned with your tasks, your KPIs, your outcomes, and your outputs, because evaluators specifically check for internal consistency throughout the entire proposal. So if there's any mismatch between what you promise and what you plan to do, this will be flagged. Now, the don'ts. So don't oversell your idea with overly ambitious objectives or impact claims, because evaluators are experienced, and if they see an unrealistic promise, this will hurt the credibility of your proposal rather than helping it. Don't don't ignore cross-cutting requirements like the inclusion of social sciences and humanities perspectives, gender equality measures, and open data commitments. These ones aren't optional extras, and they are evaluated criteria. So don't, again, another one, don't be vague about your impact, and quantify your expected outcomes with a specific measurable indicators rather than general statements. And finally, don't leave exploitation as an afterthought, because back exploitation plans with no concrete route to market or adoption are one of the most recurrent weaknesses we see flagged by evaluators. So think about your path to market from the very beginning, not as not as a section that you find it at the end. So if you want to go deeper on this, the European Commission website has a full guide on do's and don'ts on this link in the slide that you can check. So we've reached to the end. Thank you all so much for watching the training. I really hope this helps demystify the EU funding landscape, a little bit, and that you leave with at least one concrete opportunity you're going to look into after watching the training. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. Thank you again, and let's stay in touch.